what are some of the things that you're working on? I know you have the documentary out right now.
Yeah.
And congratulations on the success of that.
Thank you.
What else can we be looking forward to?
Oh, we have so much stuff working right now, man. The Forbidden Knowledge TV platform is growing leaps and bounds.
Right.
First of all, I want to give you a special thank you because you were one of the very first people to let me put some content on my TV network when it first launched.
Yes, sir.
So I got something very special for you. Everyone that helped me get some content on there in the beginning when I had nothing.
Yeah.
We're gonna take care of you guys with something. But
I want to be on there.
we're gonna put you on there. We're gonna give you. That's guaranteed.
You know, like how Gaia got all of their stuff.
Yeah.
I want to be on you. I'd rather be on yours.
We gotta have you on, man. Listen, we got 6,000 shows up there now.
That's dope.
In 2 years.
That's
and
incredible.
So we have new movies, new documentaries
What's
coming
it
out.
gonna take to get you on smart TVs?
We're on smart TVs now.
Oh, really?
We just put the press release out. We're on all Samsung TVs.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's
so
dope. That's perfect.
Just go to your Samsung app, type in Forbidden
Samsung
Knowledge
phones
TV.
too?
On Samsung phones, we're
Okay.
on iPhones, we're on Roku, Apple TV.
Okay.
We're on everything,
Now
man.
we major, baby.
Civilize the mind, make savage the body. This is the Civil Mind, Savage Body podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Rashid King. We will explore and discuss ways to expand consciousness, increase your health, reverse aging, and refine our lifestyles to live a life in an abundance. Now, we're currently aware of 3 dimensions, but as technology and human intellect advances, consciously tapping into the 4th dimension is inevitable. 3 dimensions of space, 1 dimension of time. That extra dimension is a degree of freedom. However, can we travel back in time? I don't think so. But is that accurate? Or are we looking at this the wrong way? Let's say you wanted to find me, right? You have to know my exact location, and you have to know when I'm there. Is time just a construct, or is it as natural as the air that we breathe? One thing that I'm certain of is I don't know. I don't believe anything. I either know or I don't know. But hopefully together, we'll all find out. Enjoy the show.
So today's guest on the Civil Mind, Savage Body podcast is none other than Billy Carson. Now let's talk about forbidden knowledge. Let's break down the word forbidden. It's not allowed or banned. It's very simple. Knowledge, facts, information, or skills acquired by a person through experience and or education. Now, in the supreme mathematics, knowledge is number 1, and it's the foundation of all things. It's symbolic to the man who is the foundation of his family. It is also symbolic to the sun, which is the foundation to its solar system. Knowledge is the foundation of all intelligence, all experience, and all thought. Now let's go to the book of Genesis. Now in Genesis, we had the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and it was forbidden. In the context of scripture, good and evil means everything. One cannot know good without knowing evil, and vice versa. One cannot know love without knowing hate. One cannot know pleasure without knowing pain. The duality of life is a characteristic that is woven into the fabric of all thoughts, which are all things. Forbidden knowledge is a treasure chest of information. It will empower those who consume of its fruits. I understand why one want to keep the knowledge from people, because not all can handle information that powerful. In the wrong hands, it could be used as a weapon. It could be used to divide, to deceive, and to keep the masses in fear and never reaching their potential to tap into their God frequency. In the right hands though, it's used to empower and enlighten the masses. It's used to innovate. It's used to advance societies and merge cultures together. So now, I introduce to you Billy Carson. He has the forbidden knowledge, and he uses it to empower, unite, and to innovate. I've personally learned so much from him over the years, and I'm open and ready and excited to learn from him today. So you'll want to have your notes ready, all right? And be a receptor to what he's about to deliver. Enjoy. Error correcting computer code.
Yeah.
Found in the cosmos.
Right.
Okay. Very specific code that's in computers.
Yes.
Right? All right, so first, I want them to understand this. What's the guy's name, the string theorist?
His name is Professor James Gates Jr.
James Gates Jr., black man.
Yeah, black man, yeah.
Melanated, magical man.
Yeah.
He found over 20 or so something years, he discovered computer code in space.
Right.
We're in space.
It's the actual ether of space itself. In other words, at every Planck unit in space-time, this code actually exists.
What does that mean to the layman?
Well, a Planck unit is the smallest distance of space that we can actually measure.
Okay.
It's smaller than a tenth of a millimeter. I mean, it's so tiny you need a special tool to even measure it.
Okay.
And so at every fine point in space-time,
right,
these Adinkra codes, which are these error correcting codes, exist not only around us but also even through us.
And then Adinkra is a tribe?
The Adinkra codes come from a tribe originally out of Africa. Now the Dogon tribe, those are the ones who actually created these Adinkra codes. But they were taught this information, according to them, by these people called the Nomos, or these beings called the Nomos. Now the Dogons actually ruled over the land of Egypt, the land of Kem, before it was called Egypt.
Right.
And then much later moved out to Mali, Africa. But they kept these codes, and how they kept the codes, they use these codes in clothing and cloth and materials and drawings and paintings.
So it looks like designs are really codes.
Those designs are codes. And you take those two-dimensional designs and turn them into three-dimensional substructures, they then are encoded with all the mathematics that create everything in the known universe.
Wow, wow. That's very fascinating. I've been doing a bit of studying, and I wanted to get back on geometry, right? So I started with algebra. But I got an algebra book for dummies, but I remembered it. I'm like, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
But I'm back on geometry, and I'm finding so many coincidences. I'm finding so many equations that are constant throughout so many different things. Right. And it's fascinating because from the outset, it looks like geometry or mathematics is the language of God or the universe, right? But we created mathematics, right? So did we create the universe?
Right. Well, that's a great question. So if you look at it from as above, so below perspective, okay, so as above, the universe is a mind.
Okay.
Consciousness is streaming through the universe, and a frequency of that consciousness is actually animating our bodies.
Okay. But
our bodies, our own avatar bodies are also imbued, by every atom is imbued with the divine God consciousness.
Okay.
So we have a divine God body that's animated by consciousness. There's only one consciousness. It's like having a radio station in your neighborhood.
Right.
And it's sending out 99.1, 99.2, 0.3, 0.4. I'm 0.1, you're 0.2, so forth and so on. A point number is your body is tuned to pick up that frequency. Now, what happens is because that divine knowledge is being downloaded right into this avatar body, the wisdom and knowledge of everything that exists in the universe is already in every atom in your body.
Right.
So a lot of the times people think we come up with an original idea. We already have all the ideas. All the ideas already exist. We're just tapping into what's already inside of us. That's why human beings replicate things like the concept of reincarnation in video games. We make a video game which is a holographic matrix. Each area of the screen appears as needed, just like in real world.
Right.
And then if you die, you get another life and you come back again and try to do better.
Right.
This is all imbued into every single atom in our body. We're only reproducing what already exists. So the knowledge of all of this is already inside of us.
Excuse me, that's fascinating, especially to get the video game component. So it's like everything that we think is out there is not there until we go out there.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I guess with split testing atoms, that's kind of how it is, right? Like, it's not there if it's not observed. Yeah,
it's called wave-particle duality in quantum physics. So in wave-particle duality, we understand that everything exists as waves of light. And we know that everything is light, even our bodies, the table, the chair, everything is made of light. Things that appear to be solid are just light slowed down. Okay, so when you slow light down to a specific wavelength, it then gives you the illusion. When consciousness interacts with it, it collapses it into the illusion of solid matter, but nothing is really actually here. And so we're talking about, probabilities now. We're talking about superposition. So we know that everything exists in unlimited probabilities. Probabilistic, futuristic things already occur. Everything you could think of can already happen. And what happens is we collapse specific realities into existence based on our actions now. So your actions today collapse a future reality into existence when you catch up to that time wave.
I gotta tell you something, man. I've sat in here with physicists, with some of the allegedly smartest people in the world, and I feel beat up by you already. and I sit there with them and I stump them nonstop. You know what I mean? But this is crazy, man. Yeah. One thing that I really admire about you is the tenacity of your intellectual dexterity. It's impressive. I've seen it in even people I don't necessarily always agree with, like say for instance Michael Eric Dyson. Okay. His intellectual capacity to articulate things in a very practical and poetic sense is mind blowing. Right. I'm a fan of an intellectual like I'm a fan of a Floyd Mayweather. Gotcha. It entertains me and excites me and inspires me just the same. But yeah, man, you are something else, bro. We just started. We just started. But listen, okay, so let's go to I want to talk about Nikola Tesla. Yeah. And Kim. The Kimites, right? And this man Imhotep. Yeah. So Nikola Tesla, from what I understand, like let's say wireless communication was built on his discoveries, right? If I'm not mistaken, the well of wisdom in which he drank from was Kim. Yes. What they call Egypt now, right? Right. So many of us don't know much about Nikola Tesla. He died, of course. Yeah. No one knows where his papers went. When Egypt or Kemet got sacked, libraries of Alexandria destroyed, Mali, Ghana, all of these places, the libraries and temples destroyed. These people are not going to destroy the information. No. Right? Is it in the Vatican? Is that? Oh yeah. Listen. Okay. Those temples and those, like the Library of Alexandria, for example, where the majority of the wisdom of the world was located at one time. Matter of fact, if you pulled up there in a boat, you had to pay a docking fee. Your fee was knowledge. You had to bring a book. It was a knowledge fee to get on to come out there. Right. When they decided, when a small group of people realized all the knowledge in the world, including all the advanced technology, the ability to create them, the floor plans or the diagrams were there, right. They said, okay. So they went to destroy it, but they stole. It was a theft. The burning of the library was a distraction. Yeah. The theft was the bigger story. Right. And a lot of that has ended up in the archives at the Vatican. That's where that knowledge and that wisdom is. And inside that knowledge case is information about all the ancient technologies, right. All the advanced wisdom, all the gnosis, all the ability for us to do all that stuff. Well, they're hoarding it, hoarding the knowledge. You don't think they're putting these things in the application somewhere? Oh, well, you have private corporations that have, gotten elite, very little elite access to some of the information, right. For the purpose, unfortunately, of weaponizing a lot of that stuff. And there are a lot of black budget programs and projects where they turn a lot of that into reality in terms of research and development. Right. But the average person will never see it. It'll never make the light of day. Right. For the general population. When I was doing research on like different tools, different technological tools of that time, like the Ankh, the Jet. One thing that fascinated me about the Jet is they described it as an electric magnetic device, but also they described it as the spine of God, and a function of it was to transfer consciousness. Right. What does that mean? What do they mean by that? Well, listen, the Jet and the Ankh together make a super powerful device. It's also a key. So the elite of the elite back then in the land of Kim, and even in other areas of the world where the Atlanteans ruled, only the elite kings, the ones that rule by a number, not the average human, but the people who rule by number. What does that mean, rule by number? They used to have two systems back then. One system was based on your numerical value. They gave a person a numerical value who had elite ruling capabilities, a bloodline. Okay. Underneath them, the average people, they all ruled under a monarchical system, like a monarchy. And so they had two separate ruling systems, but the people who were ruling based on their number, they ruled over the people that were ruling based on the monarchy system. They had people above them. And so, as in the ancient Sumerian tablets, which spilled over into Kim and everywhere else around the planet. Right. But they had this device called a Jed Pillar Ankh. Right. So they had the Jed, which is a capacitor, inserted into the Ankh. This technology was incredible because this technology was matched to the specific frequency of the owner, the atomic frequency of their own vibration of their own atoms. Right. Everyone has its own, it's like a fingerprint, your own special subatomic frequency. They would then take that frequency and encode it into the Stargate. Right.
That was your key. So if you tried to walk through the gate without that specific frequency, if I stole your ankh and I wasn't encoded with that frequency,
Right.
I would die trying to walk through the gate. You'd be able to walk through the gate. They called it the Du-Ran key. It was a bond heaven earth, and it would allow them to walk from one place to another.
Wow.
And then back again. But you had to have the jet pillar ankh. It's advanced technology.
Wow. All right, I'm gonna tell you a story that I was told. It's supposed to be real.
Yeah.
Maybe you've heard this, I don't know. So someone that I know, that I trust, they came across some files that they thought corrupted their computer. Couldn't figure it out. Left the computer alone for a while, and then some code start developing, right? This is crazy. So it started telling a story. Like some AI, like an AI agent was articulating information. Basically said something like 40, 50,000 years ago, a civilization, advanced civilization, in which they lasted, I think, about, their civilization was around, they had like a 30,000 year run.
Okay.
They've been extinct for 20,000 years, right? So to put in perspective, we're what, 6,000, 7,000 years?
Yeah.
Us. So 30,000, more than 3 times.
Yeah.
So of course they're more advanced.
Oh, yeah.
Now, things that we're trying to do now, they've done, like mind uploading or consciousness uploading, right? For those who don't know what mind uploading is, it's figuring out a way to scan the human brain or the mind into the internet, into a data storage cloud. So they did that, right? They had the capacity to do that. Civilization went extinct because of the normal shit.
Yeah.
War, overindulgence of pleasure, greed, things of that sort. So keep in mind, this was Antarctica, allegedly.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, man, I just thought about something. Antarctica has a flag, and the symbol on the flag looks just like the Ethereum logo,
Yes,
right?
it does.
That's important. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. Now, so allegedly, this civilization is wiped out, but there's some of them that's still around, right? In a neighboring galaxy called Triangulum, okay? The data storage cloud manifests itself in the form of a spaceship, like some kind of spaceship,
Right.
where these people are allegedly at. Now, they're so advanced that they're like, we would consider them gods,
Yeah.
right? They have more advanced means of physics. They can travel at the speed of thought. They've traveled through the universe. They say there's nothing there.
Wow.
What else? They've spent centuries and centuries meditation. So this is why they're so advanced. And their singularity is a combination of human intellect, technology, botany, and magnetic fields in space, and hydroelectric fields from the water. Like they're so powerful, they've mastered all of this, right?
Yeah.
So allegedly, all right, so you familiar with the guy, I'm fucking up. I'm telling a real crazy story right now that nobody knows yet.
Yeah.
Satoshi Nakamoto, whatever, the Bitcoin guy, the guy that allegedly invented Bitcoin.
Oh, no.
Okay, so he's an enigma. He's this Asian guy that created blockchain technology, but he's gone. He disappeared.
Yeah.
Allegedly, that's one of the guys.
Who uploaded?
Right, and he came down in the form of this little nerdy Asian guy.
Yeah.
Created the blockchain and disappeared, just so they can have means to communicate with us.
Wow.
Now, are you familiar with the great filters and all of that stuff? Like, the great filter is, the question is, the big philosophical question in science is, why can't we find life out there?
Right.
Okay, well, there's filters, and it's very difficult for humanity to get past these filters, right? So we're either our civilization might die at some point,
Right.
so we never get to that point, or there are humans that have survived and got past those filters, like war, like cataclysmic events from
Right.
space, extinction level events, so on and so forth. So they would be considered like level 2 civilization,
Right.
or level 3. Level 3 would be like gods, right?
Right.
Level 1 utilizes all of the resources from this planet, which we're close to being.
Yeah.
Level 2 uses all of the resources from its closest star, its sun, with what is it called, the Dyson sphere.
Right.
And level 3 is so powerful, they use all of the resources of the galaxy.
From the galaxy.
So we
Correct.
can't fuck with them.
Yeah.
So they said that level 3, like one of the filters could be level 3 people. Once civilization gets to a certain point, they wipe them out. Like, don't get close to us.
Right.
And start them over. So they invented blockchain to communicate with us. Apparently, they don't know why yet, though. Either to wipe us out, to help us, or something.
Right.
And they don't know how many of them is there, but they're like very powerful and mighty, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's all very practical.
That's interesting.
Yeah. You ever heard anything like that?
No, the only thing that come close to hearing about that would be the Black Knight satellite, which is a documentary that I wrote.
Okay.
The fact that there's this object that Nikola Tesla detected back in the early 1900s. And then in the 1950s, it made the news 2 more times because several militaries as well as ham radio operators also detected this object giving off a specific signal. And then it made Time magazine in 1960. An astronomer actually got his work put into Time magazine because it's there. And then NASA, well, at that time it was NACA, the Russian Space Agency, and a few others all were looking up into space because of the launch of Sputnik. And this thing had changed, made a course recorrection and followed Sputnik to the moon. So everybody, this is well known, this is well documented, mainstream news.
Right.
And the frequency that this thing is given off has been decoded by several independent people over decades, and it always points to Epsilon Boötis, which is a constellation. And in my opinion, we're being watched. That's what the whole documentary is about. But who is watching us?
Right.
And for what purpose? Are they waiting to see that we don't get to a specific level?
I get it.
Like you just said.
I get it.
Because once we get to that point, you know what, guys? We got to do a reset because now they're getting ready to rival us soon.
Right.
But who's watching us? Where is this information going and who's watching us?
Right.
So it's a pretty interesting thing. And that object is still up there right now, orbiting Earth in a polar orbit, which we couldn't do. And it's been detected in a polar orbit since the 1900s.
What's a polar orbit?
An orbit where you orbit the planet around North Pole to South Pole. Now, that's the best orbit to have because when the Earth spins on its axis, if you're orbiting this way, what happens is you can now take swaths of information and data, and you can see everything going on the planet within a few hours.
Wow.
When you go around the equator, you can't do that. You have to have a polar orbit. Now, what's important about that, in the ancient Sumerian tablets, Enlil, one of those people that ruled by number, he had an all-seeing eye. And in this all-seeing eye, it's in the tablets, the Epic of Gilgamesh and many other tablets, he talks about the fact that he has the capability of knowing what everybody's doing on the entire planet through this all-seeing eye, which would make sense that would be an eye orbiting from space.
So is that where people got the concept of modern day obedience, authority model religions? Like God is all-seeing?
All-seeing eye,
Is that where they get that from?
Omnipotence and omniscience. That actually started with Enlil, long before the Kim civilization, believe it or not.
Right.
And he ruled over the black-faced people in the land of Sumeria.
Okay.
But then it ended up, after the first cataclysm, they moved home base to Kim. And that's clearly talked about in many different tablets.
Okay, so it looks like now that, in Kim, ancient Kim, pyramids, some of the reliefs are, they were carbon dating it 5,000 years, but now they're saying like, nah, this is way older. And the markings that we're seeing maybe 5,000 years, but that's like plagiarism, like people trying to say that it was their thing.
Right.
Who built the pyramids?
When you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which is my first book, which has been a bestseller for 4 years now, on Amazon for Ancient Civilizations, Thoth talks about, he's an ancient king ruler. He called himself an Atlantean priest king.
What did he look like? Did he have?
He looked like a person, like a human being.
Okay.
He had a beak. He has the beak.
That's what I'm saying.
He's always depicted with the beak face.
Like the falcon-headed god of
Horus.
Horus. Yeah,
Right.
Is that like the?
It's an archetype. They're relatives.
Okay.
But the reason why Thoth has that beak is because it's an ibis bird, and he was known to bring knowledge to the world, but he always had to go into darkness to bring knowledge out to light.
Right.
And so ibis bird has to put his beak deep into the dark mud to bring up the sustenance. So what they're saying is he brings darkness to light. That's why he has the depiction of the bird face.
Okay.
However, he ruled over the land of Kim, according to the Egyptians, not according to me,
Right.
for 14,000 years.
Wow.
Okay, this guy ruled. Now he says in his own tablets. Now what's special about this guy? A lot of these ancient kings that ruled by number, he was one of those guys. They always had a scribe write their text. No, but they would speak to the scribe, and the scribe would take the depiction. And so he wrote the tablets himself. And these tablets, he said, I build it. He said, build it I, the Great Pyramid, powered after Earth's force, so that it too might remain through the ages.
Earth's magnetic fields.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Great Pyramid is built directly at the center of landmass on Earth, not the center of the Earth.
Right.
The center of landmass. How can you get the center of landmass? How can you come up with the calculation for landmass center? Polar orbit. You need a polar orbiting satellite to scan the topography of the Earth going pole to pole. And once the Earth makes a complete turn on its axis, you can then put that information into a computer, and then you can then calculate the exact center of landmass and say, X marks the spot, put it here.
Right.
So he obviously had advanced technology. Just as one of the things. And he said he built, that was 36,000 years ago.
Jeez. First time that I did a video about NAD3, I called it the fountain of youth. The reason why I'm talking about all of this, okay? And that reason is NAD3, and specifically NAD. NAD3 is a product, right? We call it the fountain of youth. And some people got their panties in a bunch. The problem with these people is they lack imagination and creativity. Now listen, the neocortex and the thalamus is where our imagination, creativity, and our consciousness resides. That's what makes us human. That's the most advanced region of the brain. Unfortunately, some people just don't access that region. They're stuck in the functions of the limbic system. The limbic system is considered the reptile brain. It's ancient, it's primitive, it's purely instinctual. Now, let's go back to my initial statement. I said that our product, NAD3, is the fountain of youth, and I stand by that product. I know it's bold, but it's true. Anything that the human mind can imagine is real, and it does come to fruition. These ideas and concepts get developed over time, produced, and then introduced to the world. Think about when the Wright brothers told people that they could fly. People laughed, they ridiculed them, ostracized them. Innovation is never well received in the beginning because people fear progress. People have a fixed mindset, so the idea of a thought that seems impossible becoming possible is just so hard for some people to fathom. But we have so many innovations that at some point they were impossible but are now normal in our everyday lives. I mean, check this out. Right now, you're looking at me through your phone. You're looking at a two-dimensional version of me that appears to be three-dimensional. You hear me and you see me like as if I'm standing right in front of you, but I'm not. I could be thousands of miles away from you. And this is not even live. This was recorded a long time ago. This is pure magic to people 50 years ago, but it's normal now. We're literally living in the future. We have so much information at our disposal, so many resources we could use to innovate and create. And listen, we've created the fountain of youth. Now, I'm 45 years old. I've recently taken an epigenetic age test, and the results showed that my biological age is 29 years old. Now, I'm sure that some of that comes from me having fairly decent genetics, but most of it is a result of my training, my nutrition, and also this product that I use right here called NAD3. See that? I've been taking this for years, consistently. NAD is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. I know that's a tongue twister, but that's what NAD is. What it is a coenzyme that's essential to metabolism. Every living cell has it, but it decreases as we age. When you have low amounts in the body, it leads to our chromosomes becoming damaged by our telomeres shrinking. When telomeres shrink, we're more likely to develop cancers, disease, and overall fast track to death. So some of the things that decrease our NAD levels are aging, overeating, also eating processed foods, stress, smoking, alcohol, and pollution. There's many more, but those are the main things. But listen, I know it sounds bleak, but there's hope. Now, it's more than hope. There's a solution. Now, a recent study from Stanford University cited that an adequate amount of NAD in the body extends the length of telomeres, and it literally reverses aging in cells in humans. You hear what I said? It literally reverses the aging cycle in our cells. When our cells age and die and get damaged, we die. This reverses the aging process in cells, which in turn reverses the aging process in us. Now, it's not drastic, but it's something. Training, 100%. Optimizing your nutrition, 100%. Meditation, 100%. But also taking NAD exogenously, that's the vibe right there. Now, there's two ways to do this. One is by IV, which is a very effective way. However, it's not really practical for most people. One, it takes a long time. It could take an hour up to 2 hours, depending on how fast you have the drip go into your arm. Now, the faster you have to go in, you're gonna feel nauseous, okay? So, outside of that, it also costs $1,000 every time you sit down to get it done. Like I said, not practical for most people. The second alternative is our alternative. It's our product, NAD3. You see, you can take it as a supplement every day. I've been taking it for years. My father has been taking it for years. If you could see, my father's 75 years old. He's still the picture of health. Speaks clear, talks clear, mind is sharp, and he's physically active. I blame a lot of that on NAD3, okay? Everyone in my family takes it. This is a manifestation of a thought that was in someone's head, an idea that sounded crazy, right? Research, development, refinement, bam, brought it to the market, and it's here, and it works, and it's powerful. Now, what you can do is click the link below. We've attached research papers, published studies, so you can see the effectiveness of NAD3. You don't have to take my word for it. I let the experts tell you themselves, all right? Much love, y'all. You know I do nothing but stand behind the best and put the best out. So keep rocking with your boy, and let's live long, fruitful lives. All right, we out of here. All right, so one thing is for certain. They were way more advanced than us.
Oh yeah.
You know, and what's interesting is like, from how it appears is like their technology coincided with the flow of nature a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that we're dumber. I think that we just haven't had enough time to get there yet. Just like we're going from fossil fuel to electric to hydro, right? And like lights is a good example. Like, up until a few years ago, lights created more heat than light. So
right.
It's an inefficient use of energy. So they're fixing it, you know, and I respect that. I think we're on that path.
Yeah, we need more spirituality. The reason why we're so far behind is because they had mastered the combination of spirituality and technology.
But did they do it in a longer period of time? Because we're babies.
So we're babies. No, I'm just saying, but we're catching up.
Right.
As you see the world becoming more
Better.
Spiritual and understanding spiritual concepts, the technology will be programmed better. The technology will be created better. It will be more in synchronicity with the planet Earth and our bodies.
If you just look at like the past 100 years, we're in a better place.
Right.
I mean, there was a time when people were treated like cattle, and it was legal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So things get better over time,
Right.
and I have a lot of faith in that. I don't have a lot of faith in much, but I have faith in that.
I agree with you.
It just goes forward. But you know, I do see a collective consciousness ascending, and I like it. You know what I mean? And I tell you, man, like, the people I've been meeting and interacting with is powerful. Everybody, so many people, and it's very, very inspiring. You know what I mean? And even for me, like a lot of the time I spend, a lot of the energy I spend my time, a little too much tequila. But anyway, I spend a lot of my time doing things of an altruistic nature. Right. Like free time, you know. Me and my brothers, we have an investment group called Oasis, and I'm not plugging it. I'm just saying, you know, we go and buy properties in really fucked up areas, and our area, we're gentrifying our own hoods, making these places nice and giving people a respectable place to live in. You know. So we've been doing that all over Chicago. We was just in Miami looking at properties. We was in Carroll City,
Carroll
Little
City.
Haiti, and Overtown.
So
we're trying to like buy back the hood.
Right.
So these are the things that I'm interested in, because I try to explain to people, like, from my observation, you know, I used to have no faith in humanity, right? It's like just a bunch of animals. Right. But I do see like people like myself, but other people who are doing well for themselves too, they start giving their money away. They start
Yeah.
doing things for other people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the dope thing about that is, shit, when we die, we die. So why do
Right.
you care? But
Right.
people do care.
Right.
You know, and I think that, like you said, like that spirituality is rising.
It's rising.
Amongst people.
It's rising.
And it's rising in a real way, not the traditional Bible, Torah, Quran.
Right.
And look, so I grew up like believing everything. And then I got a little older, I'm like, this don't make any sense. But now I'm back to like, you know what? Maybe we don't understand these texts. You know what I mean? It's already a lot lost in translation.
Right.
But, you know, when I read between the lines, I'm like, I see so much.
Yeah.
Just reading Genesis, I'm like, what does this mean?
Right. Right.
Who are we?
Yeah.
Who are we
We.
in Genesis? Who are we?
The we are the Anunnaki, according to the ancient Sumerian text. So if you look at Genesis, which is the generations of Isis,
Okay.
now that's where Genesis comes from.
Okay.
Gen Isis.
Where do you get that from?
From the Atrahasis epic and the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation.
Okay.
When you go to those 2 texts, those ancient texts which predate the Bible by thousands of years,
Okay.
that's where the majority of the Old Testament came from. It came from those texts.
Generation of Isis.
Right. And the reason
Of
why,
Isis.
yes, exactly. There should go right there. And the reason why is because Isis took an egg out of one of our cousins that was here, and she actually took genetic material out, inserted it into her womb, and took it to full term for 10 months and gave birth to the Adamu, according to the ancient text. And the Adamu means first man. It wasn't the first person on earth, but it was
Adamu.
Yeah.
Now, okay, Adamu. I looked at the etymology of Adam just
Yeah.
the other day, and I found Adama, which is a Hebrew word for dirt,
right.
earth,
Yes.
soil.
Right.
Really
Right.
interesting, yeah.
Exactly.
So it led me to believe that the story of Genesis, as we read it, is not that.
No.
It's not people necessarily.
Yeah. Well, it's actually what it is they had found a way, believe it or not, thousands of years ago to create cloned people.
Okay.
This is in the ancient, this ain't my idea. This is
Right.
the ancient tablets.
Right.
Anybody can look these up.
Yeah.
And so, but it wasn't working out because those people,
What can they Google for that?
go on Google and type in UCLA, CDLI, cuneiform, online, digital library.
Okay.
It's a mouthful, right?
I mean, but you can pause it, bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I don't have to do it.
And when you go there, you know what you're gonna find? The Sumerian Tablet Library Database. You can take a stone off the shelf and drop it into the online translator
Wow.
and read it for yourself. You don't need me.
Right.
You don't need any other linguists. You don't need any specialists. You don't need any archaeologists. You can read it for yourself.
I love that you're sharing this information because people don't read.
Right.
People do not read.
I know.
Whatever religion they claim that they are, they haven't read the book.
No.
You know, I've read all the books, and I sit in conversation with people and they're telling me, I'm like, that's not what it says. It says this.
Right.
And they're just, I'm like, yo, read it.
They haven't read it.
And it's funny. A group of friends, we were all out at dinner one night, and someone was talking about the Bible, right? And it was a woman, and you know, me being the contrarian that I am, I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you like it? She's like, well, yeah, whatever. I said, have you read the Bible? She's like, yeah. I said, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Because if you read the Bible as a woman, you would not be a Christian.
Yeah.
You would not subscribe to,
Definitely not as a woman.
right? You know
Because
what I
it
mean?
totally oppresses women.
There's nothing positive about women in the Bible,
None. Zero. Everybody, all the women are killed, stoned to death.
and they're the downfall of all men.
Yeah.
You know, even the mother of Jesus is an adulteress,
Right.
according to the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why is that? Why were they so? Why? All right, because look, they were like that then, but even now, there's a culture of hatred towards women. From men.
Women.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Do you ever see that?
Oh, everywhere I go in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I just came back from Egypt, right? I took
Okay.
70 people to Egypt on a big tour. I was
Right.
their guide. And I showed the people, look around. You see the evidence here of no feminine energy. Egypt looks like a gigantic bachelor pad. No colors, no flowers, no different color paint. Everything is brown. The street's brown. Everything is dirty. Everything's filthy. Dirt, garbage in the street everywhere, right? And why is that? Because women over there have no rights and they're fully oppressed. So they've sucked out the feminine energy. So you can see what the lack of balance is.
Right.
Right. So you then also look at the planet, look at the world. Who's making all the orders to do all the killing and all the wars?
Yeah.
It's all men.
Right.
And so men in their ego have suppressed the feminine energy. And the suppression of that energy has took us out of balance with nature and ourselves. We've even suppressed the feminine energy in our own bodies. Right? So it's a big problem. And when you look at the biblical text, you discover that they took a lot of information from ancient tablets and then they remixed some of it so that they can have control and power over women and men, but mostly keep the women down. Take full power and control and domination. Give them the right. I can have 10 of y'all. I can have 100 of y'all if I want. You're going to be my servant. You're going to do what I tell you to do, or we'll kill you. I'll beat you. I'll slap you. I'll whatever. Also, if you read the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible, the most brutal book that exists on a planet, God, according to this book, not according to Billy Carson, God says to a man, if you see a woman walking through the field, oh, you can rape her if you want. But if you rape her, you got a choice. You can keep her as a servant or make her your wife. God is also telling these people, go to this city over here, people who they don't even know, kill the women, kill the children, kill the babies, kill their animals, bring the spoils of war back to me. Now, do you think that's the creator of a universe who wrote that?
Come on, man. Even listen, they be like, whoa, my God's a jealous God. I'm like, no.
That came from Amun-Ra. Amun-Ra said that.
But why would the supreme being
be
have
jealous?
A low-level human emotion?
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
No thanks.
Not logical.
Why would God want a praise from other people? And I asked somebody, I said, do you want people to praise you?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wants that.
Nobody wants
but
that.
God would want that.
Yeah.
And then people don't really look at Greek mythology. That was the lifeline of the gods.
Right.
People's prayers.
Right.
The people didn't pray, they got weak.
Energy vampires. Energy vampires. That whole story is about sucking the life force out of people through their praises.
Right. And then God, Zeus, fucked all the human women.
All of them.
Smashed everybody.
Had babies popping out all over the place.
Super babies. Super baby. Hercules, Perseus.
So all those Greek gods can be dated all the way back to ancient Sumerian gods. So they're the same people.
Right.
So the original pantheon are the Sumerian pantheon, the Anunnaki that came into Sumeria. From there, the story was copied into Greek, Roman, it just kept going on. But all these gods just have different names, but it's the same original pantheon, and they've been doing the same thing since 200,000 years ago.
Greek and Rome got them from Kim.
Yeah.
Kim got them
from Sumeria.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the line.
Interesting, fascinating. You know, all right, so I have some perspectives on religion.
Yeah.
It changes at times. But, you know, I don't know if people are going to receive what I'm going to say well, but this is how I kind of see life.
Yeah.
I'm just a bottom line person, right? And I'm fully aware that we're animals. You know, we're just have a higher level of consciousness and more neurons and a robust frontal lobe. But we're animals, and the universal laws is for us to survive, right? In the survival of the fit. And me sitting there and sitting in thought, I can't help but to come to the conclusion that weak men created rules and laws in religion to make things fair for them, to give them a level playing field, right? Because if there wasn't, you gotta think about it, early humans, like courtship was just rape.
Yeah.
You know, it was 1 human per square mile at one point.
Right.
So men would have to like just look around for a woman, find her, track her, hunt her down, beat her up, and take it, and move on.
Right.
And then as there was more people or whatever, mother, son, sister, father, is no rules, right? It's literally no rules. The rules was just obey your body, obey the signals that your body's giving you.
Yeah.
You're in heat, it's time to release, you know what I mean? So, you know, and then over time, you know, we developed these genes to be attracted to people that didn't look like us.
Yeah.
And that was why, so we wouldn't keep having sex in the family. You know, so it's like, but when they got to like the rules, and I think like that because I'm a barbarian, you know what I mean? Like, but, you know, of course, I think that rules are good for society, for a civilized nation. But when I really sit back and thought on some bottom line shit, it's like weak men created rules.
Right.
Because there's no rules in nature. There's no rules. I've seen deer, like videos of deer eating another animal. Right. And they're supposed to be vegetarian. You know what I'm saying? There's no rules in nature. Right. It's just survive. Right. You know what I mean? So, so is interesting. It's so interesting because how I live life is like this. Look, I don't bother nobody. I stay in my own space.
Yeah.
I adhere to rules, I guess, sometimes. But if it don't make sense to me, I'm ignoring it.
Right.
And I'll calculate the repercussions and if I can deal with it.
Yeah.
If I get caught, then
Right.
I'll deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I have no
Right.
problem with that. I'm a man, so I'll deal
Yeah.
with it. But I moved through life, and it's the way that I was raised. I didn't have, like many of us melanated people, we didn't have a legacy of education and family and all
Right.
that stuff,
No.
right? So we kind of come up with no rules. So I'll speak for myself. I personally didn't have a whole lot of respect for rules
Yeah.
most of my life, which made me a huge risk taker, which actually led to a lot of my success.
Right.
You know, I don't know the boundaries,
Yeah.
so I live freely,
Right.
and it works out. Now, I think it goes to the spirit of a black soul,
Yeah.
because I didn't come out the gate not knowing rules, robbing and stealing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I still have a essence of altruism once I got to a certain level of success. You know, I didn't get to a, you know what? I want to have 10 women.
Right.
I want to do this and do that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to still live a good life, be disciplined,
Yeah.
help motivate people to do the right thing. So,
Right.
Black is so important. And, you know, I would not even be speaking on these things had, you know, Europeans not made a big deal about race.
Right.
And created this construct and treated people like shit. But
Right.
we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people in the media, social media, whatever, I hear them talking and they speak so bad about us in very subtle ways and with nice smiles on their face and
Right.
very articulate, but they're making us look like shit.
Right.
Saying that genetically we're this and genetically like our IQs are low and
Yeah.
this, that, and the
I've
third.
heard that.
And
I've heard that before.
fuck an IQ test.
Yeah.
Because I did my little research on IQs,
Yeah.
IQ tests, and the people with the highest IQs, they're doing nothing with their lives.
Yeah.
They're losers. So what good is that? You know what I mean? So, you know, and then when it comes to survival, man, like, can you survive though?
Right.
What are you gonna do when the power grid shuts down?
Right.
You know what I mean? How are you gonna survive?
You know where I'm going.
Right. I'm coming with you. You know what I'm saying? So I'll put my deposit down now. So do you ever talk about that?
Yeah, I haven't talked about it. Nobody ever asked me.
All right, please. This is so impressive. So, little backstory. I was here with Robert Edward Grant, who I highly admire. He speaks so well of you. We were talking about you on our episode, and he mentioned that you had an underground city.
Yeah.
I said, excuse me? Right? So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, but around 2010, I was researching geological disasters and what could cause them. And I saw this cycle of disasters that were happening on the planet over thousands of years.
Right.
And I figured, wow, well, right about now, we're a little bit overdue for the next one. And I was like, what can I do to protect my family?
God damn.
Well, I mean, you know, within
what it
300 to
is.
400 years or so,
Okay. All right.
give or take,
All
you know
right.
what I'm saying? But I'm the type of person, I like to pre-think things. I like to
Right.
prepare ahead of time.
You're wise, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, you know what can I do to protect my family? What if I build myself a shelter behind my house, in the dirt?
Right.
And I was talking to a friend of mine who was former military, who lived in the underground shelter for 5 years.
Wow.
In the military.
Okay.
The deep ones. He said in there they have technology, they can make anything. They have 3D printers back then that can make a whole Jeep from scratch and you drive out of the hole with it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Right. And
I
so,
read Behold the Pale Horse.
yeah, you already know.
Yeah.
So he was like, your ideas sound what you're trying to do, but let me introduce you to somebody who can actually really help you make this a reality, but in a bigger way.
Right.
And he introduced me to Radius Engineering, and I met with those guys. I told the guy my concept. I come up with the full concept of a community.
Right.
When I told him on the phone, he flew with his VP to my house the next day, and we worked something out. But this shelter is literally the size of 3 Walmarts underground, about 150,000 square feet, townhouse style living, pool, hydroponics, track, restaurants, gym, everything.
How do you buy that land? You can buy underground land?
Well, you buy the land above.
Okay.
You buy
you
100
own
acres.
everything. Okay.
All right, 100 acres. Nobody knows where the entrance is. It's that well hidden.
Right.
And then you have front load tractors down there and a few other things down there to come in case you need to farm the land after the disaster. You come back up on top and you farm the land. But down there we have a seed bank. We have we have containers of ARs. We have military We have everything.
What about embryos?
We don't have any embryos.
Okay.
No, we don't have embryos.
Is that something on the horizon?
We never thought about it just because of the implications and the potential licensing and things like that we need to go through.
Okay.
And then also it's gonna give you it's gonna raise a red flag as to we need to look deeper into what this guy has got.
Okay.
You know. So I just never thought about doing that. But we do have a strict policy, a psychological evaluation for everybody who applied to be in there. There's a 7,000 person waiting list for that shelter. Yeah.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
How many can fit?
360, that's it.
Okay.
And the reason why it's totally hidden and nobody knows the exact location, I can tell you that it's in northwest Georgia, you know, near Elberton County, but I can't give the exact location because the people who are supposed to go there, they get a signal. But if everybody knows where it's at, they're gonna bring their cousins, their uncles, you know, and then it's gonna be mayhem. So even they will be dripping in with
how much are you charging people?
It's $20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty
and how
cheap.
long does that last? The 20.
It's until indefinitely until we have to use
I think
it.
you should raise that.
Well, now that's 2012 when I built that. Finally, was finished in 2012.
Okay.
The next one, because the construction cost itself costs more now.
Right.
You know, so the next one will be a little bit more expensive, unfortunately. But
I
it is
would
what
be
it
all
is.
on board with trying to help get down, invest, whatever, with something like that.
Right.
I feel like that from a business perspective would be brilliant to have as many of those as possible.
Yeah.
And listen, that could be a real thing. Can it withstand like nuclear?
Oh, listen, the shape is a dome structure, and the base actually slivers like a snake through the earth, and the design is set up for nuclear strike.
Right.
Is even the nuclear fallout, radiation is protected against that. The filtration system keeps all that out. Even argon gases and different types of deadly gases that could be down underneath the ground. Yeah. But the location it cost almost $100,000 just to find the right location. Right. Because it had to be a certain amount of feet above sea level, a certain amount of miles away from the ocean. Can't be downwind from volcanic activity. Can't be by nuclear reactors for power generators. Right. It had to have underground flowing river. Right. All these things were met the criteria through. We had to hire a geologist.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's baller shit. You know? Speaking of baller shit, I haven't. Listen, I'm a very inquisitive person. I like to consider myself a polymath, a person that's I love to learn. That's my passion, right? But I'm also a practical person, and I spend a lot of my time being productive and trying to make as much money as possible, and being an asset to my ecosystem and my community. Yeah. So one thing, I don't know anything about your business stuff. Yeah. But I have a sense that you're probably mega rich.
I'm doing all right.
Listen, because here's the thing, like, likes attract, right?
Yeah. Right.
My cellular activity is vibrating on a high level, so my attraction is strong. And I pull in smart people that happen to be ballers. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I've met smart people before back in the day I call them talkity talkers. Right. Talkity talkers. They just fucking talk all the time. Right. Sounds good, but it's like you sound smart to dumb people. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I can appreciate, and I take people way more serious when they have that intellectual, verbal prowess, but they also have that business acumen. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That gives credibility. You know what I mean? I can't really listen to somebody that's just talks well, but there's nothing else there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I wrote the book. Woke doesn't mean broke.
I love it.
Because people have this weird concept that you can get all this knowledge and then you're just supposed to walk around talking to people about it, but you have nothing to show for it.
Right, right.
And so, in my opinion, if you are talking about you got this power inside of us and we're powerful beings and we're gods and
show it.
And well, where's your abundance? Right. Where is the you can't pay your light bill. Right. Your car just got repossessed. You can't buy decent clothes. You can't feed your family. Your kids can't go to school. Right. So where's the evidence of all this power you're talking about? Yeah. And so I see all these people walking around in this conscious community struggling, and I'm like, some of them, they invite me to go speak at these things, and they promise me money, and then they can't even pay me. And I'm like, where's the business acumen? Where's the evidence of this abundance?
It's very important. Yeah, that stuff is important. Economics is important. You can't help nobody if you can't help yourself.
Thank you.
And I know someone that I guess is an activist or something, and would ask me for money. And I'm like, yo, what? No thanks. Like, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Quit trying to fight for other people. Fight for yourself.
Listen, when you get on the airplane, they tell you right away, when the oxygen mask drops, make sure the oxygen is flowing to yourself first before you help anybody else. You got to be straight and solid and with a solid foundation if you want to really help anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, I'm not one to talk about things in pop culture, media, but I'm really curious of your perspectives on the Ye situation, the Balenciaga situation.
Yeah.
I think they're all kind of, I don't know, I'm a reserved judgment, but I'm very curious to hear your breakdown or your take on these things.
You know, with Kanye, I think that he's a genius that doesn't know how to articulate his thoughts. He hears things, and maybe he's not the greatest researcher in some areas because some things he says are a little off here and there. But for the most part, I understand what he's trying. I understand what he's trying to say.
Doing it wrong.
He doesn't have the right angle. He's not taking the right angle. He doesn't have the ability to articulate properly, specifically, exactly. He can't put the thoughts together in a way. Like he writes these great songs, but he doesn't. If he can do that, how he writes those songs and what he's trying to express himself, it would be incredible. And so what I realized, and also the fact that, you know, he reached billionaire status, but technically he was never a billionaire.
Yeah, it's not. It's valuations.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a whole bunch of paperwork.
Money in the bank is money in the bank.
Right.
Liquid,
exactly.
Yeah.
And when
or at least assets.
Assets.
Yeah.
When you do it on their platforms, then you're never going to be a billionaire because they just press a button and it's over.
Done. Yeah.
You're done.
You're fired.
Exactly. You'll always be able to get loans against that paperwork. But once they press the button, that's over, and then you got all this debt.
Right.
And then now you're really in trouble because you got that's cut off. Where's the money coming to pay back all this debt you took out? You know, so it's a crazy situation. But what I understand about him, though, some of the things, not all of the things, trust me, but some of the things he was trying to expose about the music industry and the people that are promoting black-on-black violence, hypersexualization, hyper black crime. But as soon as you say anything about them or something that offends them,
Jews,
it's over.
I would say this. Maybe he generalized it a bit much, but he's talking about a very specific group of white or Caucasian Jews that happen to be heads of music record labels. And he's right. They are throttling black hate.
And making billions off of it.
So much money off of it, right?
Billions.
There was a clip with Leo Cohen on the Breakfast Club.
Being a crackhead wasn't cool back then. Being a crackhead wasn't cool. Now it seems like they're making it cool to be drinking lean and syrup and
it's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
it's opportunistic.
Yeah.
I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
And they was asking him, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Put out some conscious or, the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right after he said how bad drugs is for the community, he says, the bullshit, I got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, isn't that hypocritical? He's like, I gotta make money.
I gotta make money. He goes, hey, I gotta make money.
And it's like, we black people need to, stand up and stop being okay with this, right? Yeah. It's literally anti-black. And it can't be tolerated anymore.
Right.
It can't be tolerated.
It can't.
Music that degrades women, music that represents illegal lifestyles in the black community, music that talks about harming other black men and women, it's hatred.
Yeah.
It's anti-black.
That's right.
And it's egregious. We should be a protected group.
Exactly.
So where's the protection?
Yeah.
Just because you're making money off of it, that makes it even worse.
Exactly.
So where's the soul in these people? Where's the humanity?
There's no soul. There's no humanity. Those people are soulless avatars operating on matrix programming, pure code. There's no soul. There's no humanity in the people that are putting out.
What about putting it out. So you have them.
Yeah.
And then there's other people. There's Jewish people, even people that I'm friends with that get triggered on these things as well. They have nothing to do with it.
No.
But they still stand firm, that's anti-Semitic. Yeah. What about them?
What's interesting is, I'm glad you brought that up. when you start taking a look at a person that is on that team,
Right.
but then is offended or triggered by the stuff that's going on.
Right.
But as soon as it comes down to it, they standing on that side still because
100%.
those are my people. That's my tribe.
Right.
They haven't been able to distinguish or differentiate the difference between hate and non-hate or good and evil. They take the side of hate simply because it's quote unquote their people. It's just like voting for somebody because of their race.
Right.
I voted for him. I didn't vote, but people say I voted for Obama just because he was black.
I voted for him because he
Okay.
was black the first time. That was
Right.
it.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But you see the mindset.
Yeah.
So these people who I'm not a racist because I got a black friend and this and that and all this other kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're going to stand with their tribe. You know, they haven't come up with the understanding that consciousness doesn't even have a color. And to always stand up for what's right. And if you stand up for what's right, the world will get
Let's
better.
explore that. Does it though? Because let's look at, I guess, somewhat modern history, like our documented history, and look at like whether it be colonization, whether it be Holocaust, not just the Jewish Holocaust, but the Congolese Holocaust.
There's so many
right?
Holocausts.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
100 million?
Right.
Something crazy.
Look at the
like that.
American Holocaust.
American
Europeans came
Holocaust.
here and killed 111 million indigenous natives.
Caribbean Holocaust,
Yeah.
right? So this was usually one group of people. And, you know, I'm sure white people might get triggered by what I'm saying, but I'm just stating facts.
Yeah.
And it's not all white people, right? There's dope white people. Like,
Yeah.
I got really deep friendships with white people.
Yeah.
But it seems to be white people who commit the most egregious atrocities towards
On a mass
humanity.
scale.
On a mass scale.
Right.
I saw the guy, Nick Fuentes, I think, talking about, you look at World Star, you see black people fighting at Disneyland. They're so violent. It's genetic. I'm like, bruh, you're talking about fights when, you know, people of your genetic code wipe out millions of people, even your own people.
Worldwide.
Always have, still going, right? So don't talk to me about genetics. And then they say genetics. One's environment has everything to do with the coding on one's genetics. Where do you think genetics come from?
Right.
Just from magic, you know what I mean? So anyway, but yeah, so do you stand on that though? Like consciousness not having any.
Well, you see, I think that a lot of people don't operate from a conscious mindset.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I think that a lot of people operate from the programming code inside of their bodies, and what the illusion that they think is real is actually not real. And I think they operate from that mindset. And so, in his mind, he sees he's oblivious to the egregious acts of his people worldwide, and he sees people getting into a fight at Walmart, and he sees people getting into a fight at Disney World and things like that, and he hears about people getting killed in Chicago on the streets. And in his mind,
that's all the violence.
This is all the violence. These black people, but you see, the news has programmed his body that that's the truth.
Right.
And because, unfortunately, it's a weird thing that a lot of white people have. They have this blockage with the way that they're treating people. This hidden thing that's inside of them that they don't realize that they're actually still operating from a heart of racism, and they've convinced themselves that they're not. And they've blinded themselves to all the egregious acts of their ancestors, and they've exonerated themselves because I wasn't back there.
Right.
But they're not understanding the power of the epigenetic memories. So if anything, it's the programming code. So through epigenetics, we know now that a person's ancestors from any race goes back 15 to 20 years. The memories of those ancestors are inside of your body, and those memories control genes and even conscious thoughts in your body today. So for me and you, if we have slaves that were tortured in our family line that were tortured 20 generations ago, they can give us PTSD right now. They can give us suicidal thoughts, anger, and frustration, and all these things. But also on the other side, the same thing can happen on their side. So they're being passed these codes, but because consciously they're not really understanding that what the feelings are, they haven't been able to decode these feelings, what the feelings that they have, that they're actually wrong, they're actually evil. That saying that these people are this and we're this, but not analyzing and actually owning up to what your own race has done to the entire world.
Right.
but they've exonerated themselves from it. So I think it's the fact that they've attached themselves to the physical world and the programming codes versus being really conscious and understanding what's really going on.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback on that, because if we look at like everything in the universe, right? You talked about as above, so below, right? And everything is the same. So the micro and the macro is identical.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, like, let's say a tool, right? Let's say a hammer. Let's say a gun. Some people say these are bad, they kill people. But they can protect people,
right,
or whatever, right? They can hunt food so people can eat.
Right.
A hammer can bust somebody's head open, or it can fix a chair, build a house, right? So is consciousness good or bad? Just like, is a tool good or bad? Or is it the way that the user articulates that tool?
That's exactly, maybe I'm not articulating properly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. See, if you think about consciousness, if you look at the Jedi Knights from Star Wars, for example, right?
Squad.
Right. You had the good Jedi,
right,
and you had the bad Jedi. Dark side,
yeah,
right? But they were using the same force. The force is the same force.
Right. I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you really watch Star Wars, the dark side is not really bad. There's really no bad. That's just to perceive. I don't see what they're doing that's so negative. You know what I'm saying? It's just a fight between them two.
Right.
I never see, they're enslaving people, raping women. You feel me? There's never any bad negative action. It's like, why are we accepting that as bad? The dark side. You feel me?
Well, they're rebels, I guess, in a way. You know, interesting enough, you can kind of compare it to the people of the Middle East trying to fight for their protecting themselves, defending themselves. You know, so it gets really weird. But I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But it's pretty interesting. But you can use the force for good or evil. Like, matter of fact, I mean, in Isaiah, in the Bible, the one who says they're creating all this turmoil and all the good is God. God says, I create the good and I create the evil. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, but what that is to me, what it means to me is that we all have the power to do good or evil. It's a choice, because it's a free will universe.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I've always said that. I don't think that people are inherently good or evil.
Right.
I think that people, whatever the main, wherever people lean towards and what they're around, the people they're around, whatever has the most influence on them, will typically determine their goodness or badness, you know. But people are just people with blank slates, and we learn as we grow, you know. So, and that's important. It's important, especially like how children are brought up and educated, you know.
Yeah.
And in our society, I think around the world, really, children's creativity is stifled. Children don't have any confidence because they shut up and listen because I said so, things of that nature. I've never once told my kids because I said so.
Right, you can't do that.
They ask me a question, I answer it.
Gotta give them an answer.
I answer it, and they have a lot of confidence because of that.
Right.
I'm a very confident person, but I started gaining confidence as I got older. They're confident now, and I love
important.
that. I love that. Yeah.
But my kids are, and they're not all perfect, but I never beat them, and I never yelled at them.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, so I always talk to people about this. Like, I would never hit a kid or my kid. They're like, you have to, they say, God said, hate the child, spare the rod. I don't care what it said. If I can't punch my brother or punch my wife, why can't I punch my kid?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a bad thing.
They're a kid. You want to use violence because you're upset and you're frustrated because you can't communicate properly to them or you can't control them. Sharpen your shit up mentally.
Exactly.
So I never even had the urge.
Yeah.
It's never even
It's
been
never
close to
there.
that. Yeah.
Never there. And people ask me, why? Why is that? Why do you do that?
Well, I love them.
Yeah. Listen.
I'm not going to hit somebody I love.
You love somebody. Why are you going to beat them? You have to understand that only a very small percentage of kids that are beat can actually look back and say, those butt whoopings worked for me. They still gave them trauma. They don't want to admit it. But when you look overall, when I go back to the city I grew up in Miami and Opa-locka, and I look at all those kids that were getting all those butt whoopings and slapped and cursed out.
They're violent.
They're violent.
Yeah.
They're locked up. They're still doing selling or doing drugs. They got PTSD. They're beating and raping women. Not all of them, but there's a big number of my people that I knew.
That's a fact.
Are screwed up, and they all got butt whoopings.
I got torture. Like, it was so bad. My mother from the South.
Yeah.
Man, I used to be like, I'm your son. Like, what
Right.
you doing? You know what I mean? But that made me violent when I was younger.
No,
it made
for
me,
sure.
It taught me that you resolve conflict with violence.
That's exactly what it does.
And, you know, I got to a certain age, I'm like, yo, that was so fucked up, Mom.
Yeah.
You know, I still love my mother. She didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But I told myself, I'll never do that.
Yeah.
Never do that. And I never have, never will.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to hit nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
And I get the better results without doing that to them.
Exactly.
You know, they're just as frightened of me.
Yeah.
It's
way worse.
It's way worse.
It's way worse.
Yeah.
I get quiet. They do not like that.
They don't like that.
Oh man, they be trying to check my temperature. I'm gonna talk to you later.
Yep.
They be, you know, they nervous.
They know.
They stressed out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it sit in there. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Because even I remember when I was a kid, when I get in trouble at school, my mom knew.
Yeah.
And I'm home before her. That was torture. Like not knowing what's up.
Right. Oh man.
Remember them days?
Oh, listen. I used to put magazines in my side of my pants. Just in case.
That wouldn't work. My mother made me take mine off, so it didn't even matter.
Oh.
It did not matter.
Listen, you know what I used to do? I was standing in the corner because I knew that the belt would hit one wall and it hit me and hit the other. But by the time it got to me in the middle, that frequency was much less. It was easy. And I would just scream and jump around, and then I washed the wall off.
Oh no, my mom was very formidable in the art of war.
Oh man,
I think that's what made me a warrior. You know what I mean? And even like my boxing, my grandmother hated it.
Yeah,
my mother loved it. She used to be like, "Get him, baby." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My grandma, she was such a sweet woman. She'd be like, "You're going to get punch drunk like Muhammad Ali."
Oh man.
But my mother was like, "Yo, do that." She was aggressive because her life was very volatile growing up. You know.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man, because just, you know, honestly, like when she would tell me about what her mother did to her and how she treated her, I was like, fuck that lady.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with her.
Right.
And when I would go to Florida to visit my mother, I would ask her, please don't tell that lady that I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't want to see her.
Right.
I have nothing to say to her.
Right.
Until the day that she died. And my mother told me, I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah.
I really held that here because my
Yeah.
mother had a really difficult life.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I'm like, that's your daughter.
Yeah.
You know? And my mother still loved her until the day that she died. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't have that in me.
Right.
I don't have that kind of forgiveness in me. You know, just maybe I'm not evolved to that extent yet, but I just don't have it.
Yeah. It's tough to hear that somebody would do that to your own mom, no matter who it is. You know,
for
I had a
sure.
situation where there was a family member in my family that was actually going around raping the women, and my mother had to defend her sister against this person. That person died recently, but all the women, all the women he raped, all died from cancer. That's how much stress and trauma it put in their body. My mom, who defended, never got raped by him, but defended some of the ones and stopped him from doing it. She ended up with all that stress and trauma she was holding, and she died from ALS 14 years ago.
Damn, man.
So I just look at that track record of all that bottleneck into death, and it all stemmed from that one person.
Right. Okay, switching gears to a weird topic. Balenciaga.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
You know, looking at it, I looked at a lot of the images. I've been researching it now for a few days. It's really strange what's, you know, these ads. Now, I run a business, you run a business. I pay for a lot of ads. You know, you probably have promos and stuff you do.
Yeah, I do as well.
There's an approval process. There's money being exchanged. There's approvals that, you know, you have to see these images. You got to be like, oh, this is going to pop for my company.
Right.
I just don't understand how somebody in that part of the company could approve some of the images I was able to see that were literally, to me, explicit, and I thought they were very dangerous for kids to even be involved in, yet alone that they were in the print and now showing it to other people. And then the president of the company being involved in those masks, which had genitalia on them and anuses for the mouth, for they were made for kids.
Yeah.
And then also finding out that the major shareholders were the Renault family out of France, who are all Jews, that have a major part in this company, knowing what's going on behind the scenes. But again, where's the ADL? Where are they?
Protection for children.
Where is it? It just everything is mum's the word. Everything is silent. Cricket chirps now.
You ain't Jewish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cricket chirps. So
That's
it's pretty
wild.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I was completely flabbergasted. I'm not gonna lie. When I really dug deep, at first I was like, I don't know. But when I dug deep into it and saw the baby mannequins with the blood all over them and all this kind of, and I'm like, what in the world kind of sick mind comes up with this?
I think that I want to play God's advocate, and I think it's disgusting, full disclosure, but I get it. I get it from a marketing standpoint from them, right? The fashion world is very weird, very strange. I've seen these weird runaway, whatever, with the models with the meat bikinis and weird stuff. Yeah. They're always pushing the envelope on the bizarre. Right. I think that's a part of high fashion. You know, the images was not pornography. You know, it wasn't like nude babies or engaging in sexual conduct. So that's just an objective observation. Still, I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's ethically okay, but I think they're still within the lines of legal, right? And, you know, and I have to be honest about like certain things, like what's entertaining, like to me. That's not entertaining to me.
Right.
But there's other things that you can see as wild as that. Like, I mean, rap music with these lyrics.
Lyrics are horrible.
Killing, you know, I kind of like it. You know, even though I'm divorcing myself from it, but I've been supporting it and celebrating it. You know what I mean? Comedy. I mean, these guys are telling rape jokes or whatever, and we're laughing. Yeah. So I can't be as outraged if I'm not outraged about everything.
About everything.
You know, because
I understand
this is a form of inappropriate entertainment that I may like. I just don't like that because I have an affinity for children. I have children. I'm like, yo, kids are off limits.
Right.
However, like, why don't someone be outraged at my stuff? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, the movies I like, or, you know, I like horror movies and shit like that. And, you know, so I'm just being, you know, an honest, objective observer, and that's my position on that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And I think they did this intentionally. I think they're going to be fine.
Oh, they're going to be fine. There's no doubt. I mean, they're not. There's nobody that could pull their plug.
And it sucks. I have a lot of Balenciaga. I like the brand, but I'm not wearing it no more. Right. You know.
Yeah. They're not going to go out of business.
I don't support that. So that's lame on their part. But these people are weird, man.
Yes, it's really weird.
And pedophilia is a perversion in society that's everywhere, not just there. You know what I mean? So like, you know, the apps, the neighborhood apps, the next door apps, whenever there's a sex offender pop up, you look at the sex offenders, you see their crime, most of them are some kind of underage child. You know what I mean? So it's kind of normal in society. Yeah, we have a weird place that we live in.
Yeah, you know? Well, I mean, it goes all the way back to even the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, the military, when they went out to their conquer all those countries and all those places, they would take little boys with them. Yeah. Because women were not allowed on the battlefield. Right. So they took the boys so they can rape the boys all along the way.
They have their own little hieroglyphic reliefs or whatever. It's crazy that you see the man forcing himself on the boy. Right. And the boy's like this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. And it was a society, Rome and Greece, where man, boy. So every man had his business partner, who was also kind of like his lover, right, and apprentice, a young boy who was like the guy he was kind of turning out, right, and a wife at home to make babies. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's it.
So it's very fuck those guys. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's wild.
Wild stuff, man.
But anyway, on a more positive note, what are some of the things that you're working on? I know you have the documentary out right now. Yeah. And congratulations on the success of that.
Thank you.
What else can we be looking forward to?
Oh, we have so much stuff working right now, man. The Forbidden Knowledge TV platform is growing leaps and bounds. Right. First of all, I want to give you a special thank you because you were one of the very first people to let me put some content on my TV network when it first launched. Yes, sir. So I got something very special for you. Everyone that helped me get some content on there in the beginning when I had nothing. Yeah. We're gonna take care of you guys with something. But
I want to be on there.
We're gonna put you on there. We're gonna give it. That's guaranteed.
You know, like how Gaia got all of their stuff. Yeah, I want to be on you. I'd rather be on yours.
We got to have you on, man. Listen, we got 6,000 shows up there now.
That's dope.
In 2 years.
That's
and
incredible.
So we have new movies, new documentaries.
What's
coming
it gonna take to get you on smart TVs?
We're on smart TVs now.
Oh, really?
We just put the press release out. We're on all Samsung TVs.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Just go to your Samsung app, type in Forbidden Knowledge TV. Too? On Samsung phones, we're on iPhones, we're on Roku, Apple TV.
Okay.
We're on everything,
now
man.
we major, baby.
Yeah, we major.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So I paid for it a long time ago, but it's just going doing a web browser
Right.
is a little difficult.
It's on everything.
Now it's on. Okay, so I'm good. I'm Gucci now.
Yeah, you're good. You can go on any app, any TV app. You can pull up Forbidden Knowledge TV with the number 4, Forbidden Knowledge TV, and check it out.
So I watch TV or content.
Right.
And I watch you.
Thank you.
I don't watch Gaia. I think it's kind of weak. You know what I mean? It's not pure to me. I watch you. I watch that video, what is it called? Video advice.
Oh yeah.
And the other one,
Daily Motivation.
Daily Motivation.
Yeah.
I watch Kyrgyzstan. You ever heard of them?
No.
Dope.
Yeah.
I watch After School with my homie.
Okay.
You're like, I'm surprised he hasn't reached out to collab with you yet. Because what he does is all animation.
Okay.
And it's someone like speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'll check him out.
Randall Carson or whatever. You know, he's a cool dude.
Okay.
I'm really shocked that you're not on his yet.
Yeah.
Who else do I watch? That's about it for now. Rogan I used to watch Rogan when he was on YouTube. Okay. But I'm not. The Spotify is just too much to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
What do you consume?
Pretty much, I try to go through it. You know, there's a lot of videos like that. Daily Motivation. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I go through that. I go through a lot of TED Talks because some of the things that they're talking about real mainstreamy, but there's a lot of good research material there. So I start, you know, I'm like you, I write down so much stuff, and then I start digging into the information, you know. And then I like a lot of stuff on ancient civilizations, and space anomalies. So I research space anomalies, ancient civilizations, and I dig into that stuff deep because it gives me more stuff that I can research. And then the more I research, the more rabbit holes I open up, and just keeps on going. And so I'm developing a new show right now called Anunnaki History, and that's gonna come out on my TV network exclusively. Nice. Also, the next big thing we got is the Forbidden Conscious Awards.
Oh, I heard you talking about that.
Yeah, that's going to be July 30th, 2023.
That's dope.
It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be right there in Miami at the Adrian Arts Center. Yeah. And we're going to finally start, you know, giving awards to the people, to the community, people hard work, and the people who are fans of them. Like we're talking about all these people we follow and listen to. We're going to be the ones. They're going to be the ones voting for these people to get their awards. You know,
that's incredible.
Yeah. And then I have a book coming out with Matthew LaCroix. He's a best-selling author in ancient civilizations and spirituality. And we're co-writing a book called The Epic of Humanity. It's going to be the only book in history that have the most ancient tablets and texts in the actual book.
Wow.
And that's coming out in a few weeks.
All right, cool. Before we go, have you done any research on underwater?
Yes, actually I have. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. Listen, the oceans is, you forget space, it's right here under our feet.
10% we've explored?
Yeah, less than 10%. Almost, yeah. And so it's incredible. I'm flying back, we were flying back from the Maldives back to the US, flying over the Atlantic. And on the screen.
Little subtle flex.
Yeah.
Little subtle flex. Yeah.
Well, you know. And you get this satellite imagery on the screen. And we were on, I think, Qatar coming back. And I saw some structures from the satellite imagery in the ocean. I screenshotted it. I took a picture with my phone because it had the coordinates. We were like, when we get back, we gotta look this up. There's so much stuff down there, man. All these ancient cities and ancient civilizations that existed. Maybe some of that stuff, a lot of it's still intact. They just found Dwarka off the coast of the Indian Ocean. I mean, they got all this stuff that exists down there. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just to put in perspective, less than 10% of the ocean has been explored. And just in that small amount, 3 billion, at least 3 billion species of life they found.
Right.
What?
Even extremophiles.
3 billion species.
Right.
It's wild. The aliens are probably here.
They're here. They're in the ocean. Well, Christopher Columbus in his own captain's log. Now, the captain doesn't write things in his log because he's just tired and got nothing to do.
Right.
He talked about the fact that this was on their way here to the Caribbean. He saw an object come out of the ocean and light up the sky. Now, there were no lights back then. Remember, light bulbs didn't even exist yet. No artificial lights. Out of the ocean and lit up the entire sky and took off into space. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty powerful.
Wow. Well, really, I really appreciate you coming out. I'm a huge fan.
Appreciate it.
You're a brother. You're a good brother. You're good for society, humanity, for the culture.
Thank you, man.
I give you your flowers now.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
You, my bro.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother.